Galalie re-enters the arena with that Shadow Ball locked and loaded. It's going to be hi Jellicent, bye Jellicent. Welcome back to the channel. Today is Tuesday, aka League Rotation Day. That means that your YouTube feed is going to be full of practice battles, top team videos, best team videos, and all this other nonsense that I personally have zero time for. I know some people share the same opinion as me and would much rather see some actual Go Battle League footage. So if you're one of them people, don't worry, I've got you. Well, actually, not me. Today we've got an incredible battle submission from Buthesfunnytho. We're not actually showcasing any specific Pokemon. It's just going to be a compilation of crazy triple shadow teams. So firstly, a huge shout out to Buthesfunnytho for putting this video together. And secondly, he's done all the work. He's put all the graphics, etc. together, so I'm very grateful. With all that being said, without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game one, we got Shadow Armaldo into the Kentucky Fried Chicken, a bird of death. We farmed to the liquidation, bait with the cross poison. Being a rock and water type, you imagine Talonflame shields, and they do exactly that. But he's finding they're going to match Protect shields. The opponent's on Flame Charge. We've already found ourselves around a third health, so we see the pivot into Ursaring. Ursaring goes straight for the Swift, able to win the charge attack priority, and the opponent go all in on the Kentucky Fried Chicken, bird of death. But he's finally though going to find himself in a shieldless game, shielding up the Flame Charge. We are going to be able to reach the next Swift, but this Talonflame's almost removed two Pokemon from the field of play. Down goes Talonflame. What the hell is this team? APA Incinerate. Armaldo re-enters the arena, goes straight for the liquidation, double super effective, going to pick up a clean one-shot. We then pivot into Dusknoir, and out comes a Suing Electrode. Can we even survive a wild charge here? Dusknoir, survives on fractional HP, reaches the Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch, despite the debuff defense, doesn't quite get the job done. Armaldo able to Fury Cut a farm down, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see Armaldo into Skeledirge. This time, we don't see the cross poison bait. It'd be pretty risky as ghost types do resist poison. We fire off the liquidation. The opponent looks to call the bait. They fucked him out. They found out they're straight in and straight out. Out comes Drapion. We see a very nice Aqua Tail catch onto Poliwrath. The opponent opts to stay in. Unless they're on Aqua Tail Sludge Bomb, the OG move so everything will be resisted. The opponent fire off the crunch, continue to stay in. So we're going to release the Dynamic Punch, looking to move Drapion from the field of play. Down goes Drapion. The opponent sends out Annihilate. Annihilate able to counter farm down. We've got a ghost type and we should be pretty much off to the races. I think the win con for Buthesfunnytho is potentially just a full fast move beatdown. Just tap, 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 fire off them hexes and look to remove Annihilate from the field of play. You can see Buthesfunnytho opting to fire with a charge move. Not entirely sure why, as the opponent has got two shields. I guess they're probably going to let this go, recognising they cannot win the match. They do exactly that and we take that game. In the next battle, we see an opposing Dusknoir in the lead position. The opponent goes straight for the Shadow Punch and Armaldo instantly going to put up that Protect shield. Armaldo is so bloody glassy, man. These Astonishes are doing ridiculous damage. Armaldo returns fire with the liquidation, forcing the Protect shield back. We then bank the cross poison and enter the mirror. We see Buthesfunnytho instantly put up that Protect shield, blocking up the incoming Shadow Punch. He's then going to return fire with his own Shadow Punch, not wanting to take any more oppressive Astonish damage. Down goes Dusknoir. You've got to be kidding me. ABA Astonished. The opponent sends out Drifblim, make a very nice catch, catching the Shadow Punch onto Marowak. Marowak will be getting that full Mud Slap farm down. This energy is going to be quite scary. Is Poliwrath not going to tank these Shadow Bone Clubs particularly well? The first one should do around half a health. I think we need to make a catch and try and farm up to the double skull to remove that Drifblim. What the heck? Why would you Rock Slide a fighter? Unfortunately, unable to make the catch. Poliwrath left on fractional HP. We go for the combo play into Armaldo. The opponent can just save that protection of a Drifblim. Astonish farm down everything, and that one does end in heartbreaking defeat. In the next battle, we see Gallade into Swampert. Leaf Blade will be double super effective, but the opponent makes a very nice catch, catching the double super effective move on a Pokemon that double resists grass. Undeterred, Buthesfunnytho pivots into Armaldo. We are a rock type. We're not using any rock type charge moves, but of course the opponent doesn't know that. They shield the first move. Armaldo reaches the next cross poison, winning charge attack priority, putting Altaria down to around the third health. Buthesfunnytho forced to reveal his third as Gallade wouldn't fancy this Dragon Breath damage. We're going to overfarm, fire off the Aqua Tail, anticipating a resisted Aqua Tail, removing Altaria from the field of play. Aqua Tail does exactly that, and out comes the basic bitch tin can Registeel. I haven't seen Registeel and Altaria on the same team, probably in about 15 seasons. This really is a throwback team. Drapion so incredibly spammy, able to reach back-to-back crunches. We then see the pivot into Gallade, baiting back out Swampert. Swampert gonna fire off the Hydro Cannon, but Gallade always has the pacing advantage here. Gallade gonna farm up to the double Leaf Blade. If the opponent shields the first, they're just gonna get one shot. The first Leaf Blade does force the Protect Shield. The second one, gonna pick up that one-hit KO. Get that Swampert off my screen. At least when we finally stop unlagging, it looks like the opponent has rage quit the app, recognising Shadow Glade's gonna go absolutely rampant, sweeping the back line. The opponent might have top left, but we're still going to throw the close combat. Why? Because it's funny though. Shout out, but he's funny though, who's navigating the team. GG's, and thanks for playing. Today's featured battler really living up to his IGN. Heading into the next battle, awful lead. Gallade into Whimsicott. We see the pivot into Drapion, and out comes Greninja. Despite Drapion's charge moves being fully walled in this matchup, with an NHD, this is certainly a matchup that is flippable. If Buthesfunnytho wants to invest Protect Shields, we correctly shield the Hydro Cannon. Drapion gonna overfarm, unfortunately not thrown at the best time, and we should have thrown one extra Poison Sting there, but Aqua Tail still forces our Protect Shield back. The opponent also throws an alignment, so if you're the Poison Sting user here, you want to throw one quick move, 4 or 7. If you're the Water Shrieking user, just throw an odd number. Buthesfunnytho able to take back Switch advantage, although we very quickly give up Switch, sacrificing Drapion to the Pokegods. My god, did we just get hurricaned? We see the opponent not only running a surprise nuke, but making some very questionable plays. They've already seen our Drapion moveset of Crunch and Aqua Tail respectively, so Whimsicott's Grass and Fairy typing would be a complete wall to this energy. They opt to pivot out into Talonflame instead, where the Aqua Tail will be super effective. Oh my gosh, we make the pivot into Crawdon. Crawdon able to reach the Night Slash, what looks like to be a charge attack priority. It's going to be Poison Sting versus Fairy Wind. Who will prevail? Drapion versus Whimsicott. Drapion comes out on top, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see Crawdon into Clodsire. The opponent throws on 6. There's only a Sludge Bomb, but they do give us a free Snarl, which is always nice. Crawdon going to farm up, throw the correct free Snarls and the Crab Hammer. Clodsire is bulky. Oh my days, Crab Hammer almost picks up the one-hit KO. We then make the Sludge Bomb catch onto Nidoqueen, where it is going to be double resisted. Our Nidoqueen save switch is answered by Talonflame. This Nidoqueen opted for Poison Sting, and look at the energy generation go. We fire off the first Poison Fang. The opponent, clearly unaware of just how spammy we are, continue to incinerate away, allowing Nidoqueen to reach the next Poison Fang, leaving them deep in the red health range. Buthesfunnytho elects to let the Queen go down, sends out Crawdon. Crawdon tries to Snarl farm down, but unfortunately unable to do so before the Flame Charge reach. We see the simultaneous swap with Primeape into Morpeko. The opponent goes straight for the Psychic Fangs. Whilst it is super effective, Primeape might be glassy, able to hang on fractional HP. We fire off the close combat. The opponent kind of obliged to shield. They put up that Protect Shield, clearing the path for Crawdon to sweep the back line. Crawdon re-enters the arena, goes straight for the Crab Hammer. Crab Hammer, massive overkill, back out. Comes Clodsire. Clodsire gets Snarl farm down. Talonflame also gets Snarl farm down, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we've got the battle of the Snarl users with Crawdon into Umbreon. Crawdon gonna strike first, going straight for the Crab Hammer. Come on, show us the boost. Unfortunately, we don't get the boost. I think it's only a 12.5% chance. We invest the Protect Shield, blocking up a potential last resort. Unfortunately, the opponent, like a savage, bait with the foul play. We're then able to farm up, make the catch onto Nidoqueen. Foul play doesn't do much of anything, and out comes Drapion. Despite the foul play not doing too much damage, it has potentially put us into Aqua Tail range. We're going to see Buthesfunnytho invest the Protect Shield, blocking up the Aqua Tail, and then go for the Poison Fang bait. Poison Fang force the Protect Shield. We're going to settle for another Poison Fang. This won't be lethal, but at -1, we'll do some okay damage. To my surprise, the opponent invested the Protect Shield. We didn't even have the energy for the Earth Power, and we're certainly not complaining. Crawdon re-enters the arena, goes for yet another Crab Hammer. Do we finally get the boost? I'm asking, but we are not receiving. The opponent reveals an Azumarill on the back, and as we've got no shields to hide behind, I'm not entirely sure how we're going to win this battle, or if we even do win. We're able to catch the last resort onto Primeape. Primeape going to overfarm, fire off the Rage Fist. Rage Fist won't be lethal, potentially be able to Karate Chop farm down before the next charge move is reached. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen either. Foul play puts us on fractional HP. We look to fire off the close combat, unfortunately unable to get it off, and we are going to concede the match. In the next battle, we see Jumpluff into Golisopod. Interestingly, Jumpluff going to invest the Protect Shield. Jumpluff would have easily survived an X-Scissor, but we're going to let Buthesfunnytho cook. We heavily overfarm and go for the Aerial Ace bait. Aerial Ace forces the Protect Shield. We then farm up and catch the next X-Scissor onto Tentacruel where it is resisted damage. Our Tentacruel save switch is answered by a Mud Slapper in the form of Clawitzer. Tentacruel going to fire off the Scold. Scold forces the opponent's final protection. The opponent able to get a massive Mud Slap farm down. Buthesfunnytho going to respect a potential Ice Beam, and of course the opponent fire off that Rock Tomb bait. One Fairy Wind and the Acrobatics at -1. Acrobatics won't get the job done, and they're not even an Aerial Ace range either. With that in mind, we see the pivot into Marowak, looking to get ahead on energy. The opponent actually falls in the Scorching Sands, which does decent damage, putting us below half health. Back out comes Golisopod. Golisopod greeted with the Rock Slide. Rock Slide removes them from the field of play. Back out comes Clawitzer. Clawitzer gets Mud Slap farm down. Marowak still not done. Gonna fire off the Bone Club. Bone Club almost picks up the one hit KO. One further Mud Slap and Marowak sweeps the entire team. In the next battle, we see another blast from the past. Medicham. The opponent save switches into Steelix. I imagine we bank this energy before sending out Marowak, and we do exactly that. Marowak so commanding in this matchup. We're going to fire off the Bone Club, winning charge attack priority. Bone Club actually isn't lethal, but that's fine. Whatever they throw, likewise, isn't going to do much of anything to us. Marowak tanks the Psychic Fangs, Mud Slap farms down. Back out comes Medicham, and Medicham also going to get that Bone Club treatment. We see the opponent invest a very questionable Protect Shield. They've seen we've led Jumpluff, so anything Jumpluff throws would do objectively more than Marowak. Opponent fire off the Ice Punch, removing us from the field of play. Back out comes Jumpluff, but Jumpluff does lose CMP. We're going to invest a Protect Shield, blocking up the Ice Punch. That would be double super effective. Full send the Acrobatics, looking for that one hit KO. The opponent invests their final Protect Shield. We then farm up, try to catch the Ice Punch, catch attempt unsuccessful, and out comes Bastiodon. I'm really not sure about this Acid Spray. Whilst Acid Spray does put a double debuff on Bastiodon's defense, these Acids are triple resisted, so I think double Scold certainly would have been the better play. We can invest the Protect Shield, blocking up the Stone Edge. Perhaps I'm wrong, maybe at -2 this Scold's lethal. It is not, so definitely should have went down the path of double Scold. Tentacruel fires off the next Scold. Scold does remove Bastiodon from the field of play. We then make the pivot into Jumpluff, catching the Ice Punch. Ice Punch double super effective, but Jumpluff hangs on fractional HP, reaches the Acrobatics, and that is going to be all she wrote. In the next battle, we see Morpeko in the lead position. Morpeko usage has massively dropped this season in favour of Dedenne. Jumpluff going to stay in. The opponent go for the Psychic Fangs bait, which is very nice for us, of course. Aura Wheel would have done objectively more. We're going to full send the Acrobatics. Acrobatics force the Protect Shield. Now we're at -1. I think an Aura Wheel will remove us from the field of play. We invest the Protect Shield. Once again getting baited by their Psychic Fangs. This opponent's so horny for that debuff. We then see the pivot into Flygon. Flygon tanks the Aura Wheel, which is triple resisted. No! Trainer! Why would you send Bastiodon into a ground type? You've got to be kidding me. That has to be a misclick. Bastiodon straight in and straight out, and the opponent concedes the match. I have no idea what happened there, but heading into the next battle, we see Galalie into Swampert. It's so hard to see the Swampert, but I'm sure it's there. There you go. It fired off a Hydro Cannon. Galalie's so enormous, man. It takes up almost the entire screen. Galalie going to fire 3 roll-ups and the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball gets little respect, leaving Swampert into the red health range. We see the pivot and the catch onto Grumpig. The opponent answers our Grumpig save switch with Bastiodon. Whilst they might resist the Sidewaves, this Dynamic Punch is not only super effective, but double super effective as both Rock and Steel are weak to fighting. The opponent looks for that full Smackdown, Farm Down, or for non-stab Dynamic Punch, puts them instantly into the red health range. Buthesfunnytho sends out Flygon, which is going to be a complete wall to this energy. The opponent fire off the Flamethrower. Flygon able to get a very nice sand attack farm down, leaving with a charge move good to go. Out comes Cresselia, unfortunately running Confusion. We're going to fire off the Scorching Sands. Scorching Sands goes unshielded. We're able to get the attack drop. We then go for the wham, bam, combo play, pivot into Galalie. Galalie fires off the Avalanche, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. Back out comes Swampert. I think we just shield and look for the rollout farm down. We do exactly that. Back out comes Cresselia. Cresselia going to be greeted with the Shadow Ball, and Shadow Ball is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see Jellicent in the lead position. Galalie, of course, has the potential to pick up a one-hit KO if the Shadow Ball goes unshielded. We full send. Does the opponent respect the damage? Bang! There it is. Get that Jellicent off my screen. As always, shout out the OG Oxford U for that quote. The opponent sends out Umbreon, and Galalie, far from done, gonna fire off the Avalanche. Avalanche just happens to be one of the very best charge moves in the game. It's actually a Psystrike clone, 45 energy for 90 damage. We get same type attack bonus as well, hence it did a very solid dent to that Umbreon's never-ending HP. We saw Buthesfunnytho make the pivot into Flygon, baiting out a Azumarill. Despite us being a dragon and then being a fairy type, this is quite a neutral matchup, especially when shields are in play. We landed the Scorching Sands, able to fire off the double resisted Dragon Claw bait like an absolute savage, then outpaced to the next Scorching Sands. Buthesfunnytho living rent-free in this opponent's head. We then save Flygon, make the catch back onto Galalie as we're essentially playing with our food. This next foul play still won't be lethal, so we could tank the damage if we want, but Buthesfunnytho going to invest a Protect Shield and look to fire off back-to-back avalanches. The opponent likely shield this move, and they do exactly that. Galalie able to reach the next avalanche, and the opponent continues to snarl away. Avalanche removes Umbreon from the field of play, and Grumpig gets a well-deserved rest on the bench. In the next battle, we see a very, very tough lead with Galalie staring down the fire snail. We say switch into Flygon and bait out a Bullet Seed Cresselia. We fire off the Scorching Sands, forcing the first protection of the game and getting the attack drop. Buthesfunnytho calls the Rock Tomb bait. Buthesfunnytho does not shield baits in his household. He tanks the damage, fires off the next Scorching Sands. Scorching Sands, even at -1, leaves Cresselia around the third health range. Buthesfunnytho, happy with Flygon's contribution, elects to let it go down, sends out Galalie. Galalie going to be unable to roll out farm down, so we bank a buckload of energy and make the catch onto Grumpig. Oh man, out comes Mandibuzz. Very, very tough alignment in this game. As our Grumpig is switch locked here, we're essentially going to need our Galalie to take out that Fire Snail. The rollouts do hit for super effective, and the Shadow Ball is decent neutral damage, but the issue is we're not going to appreciate them Incinerates. Buthesfunnytho trying to make the best of a dire situation, fires off the Dynamic Punch, goes for the wham, bam, combo play, fires off the Avalanche, Avalanche removes Mandibuzz from the field of play. Back out comes the Fire Snail. We are going to shield up the incoming Rock Tomb. I think here we've got a free and Shadow Ball, but at this point the opponent will be receiving energy for the next Rock Tomb, and I think that's pretty much curtains for us. Shadow Ball forces the opponent's final protection. No! Trainer, what are you over farming for? Shadow Ball removes the Fire Snail from the field of play. The opponent has completely thrown the battle, and we're able to emerge victorious. Heading into the next battle, we see Dedenne in the lead position. The opponent going to go straight for a parabolic charge that we will be respecting. Are we going to go for a very high risk, high reward catch, catching the parabolic charge onto Flygon? The risk is if we're unsuccessful in the catch, the opponent might throw a play rough. We're able to successfully catch the parabolic charge, which is triple resisted. Very, very nicely done. Our Flygon save switch is answered by Greninja. Greninja swiftly greeted with the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw gets little respect. The opponent then plays to the CMP, but it looks like Buthesfunnytho looking to make a play at taking back switch. We're going to shield up the Hydro Cannon, return fire with the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw forces the Protect Shield. We then farm up, make the catch him back onto Gallade, saving Flygon potentially for that Dedenne in the endgame scenario. Gallade able to roll out farm down Greninja. It looks like Dedenne will be getting knocked out by this incoming Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball actually isn't quite lethal, and out comes Clodsire. Both our remaining Pokemon very advantageous into this Clodsire. We send out Grumpig. The opponent goes straight for a Sludge Bomb, recognising they are going to need 2 moves to knock out. We tank the Sludge Bomb. Buthesfunnytho continues to farm up, tries to make the Sludge Bomb catch onto Flygon. The catch wasn't the cleanest, but it looks like the opponent was spamming the move. The opponent fire off the Sludge Bomb. We withstand the damage and do settle for the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw won't quite be lethal, but will leave the opponent low. Grumpig re-enters the arena. The opponent able to catch the Shadow Ball back onto the low health Dedenne. Back out comes Clodsire, but they die to the sideways, and that one does end in victory. In the next battle, we see Galalie into Cresselia. The opponent said no thank you, save switch into Fortress. I think Fortress is a good pick. I don't tend to save switch something with a double weakness. If we had a fire type, this thing would get burnt to a crisp. We land the Shadow Ball, make the pivot into Flygon. The opponent fire off the Rock Tomb. An easy tank for Flygon. Flygon going to return fire with the Scorching Sands and look to remove Fortress from the field of play. Down goes Fortress. Back out comes Cresselia. Flygon are still not done. Going to fire off one further Scorching Sands. We are debuffed, but still puts the opponent down to around the half health range. Flygon once again able to get the attack drop, which is clutch for us. The opponent then fire off the Rock Tomb, which isn't lethal. We save Flygon, make the pivot into Galalie. Galalie going to fire off the Avalanche. Avalanche force the protection of the opponent. Look to debuff our attack. Buthesfunnytho going to shield up the incoming Rock Tomb, and out comes Jellicent. We've already seen that Shadow Ball does disgusting damage, but this time we are at -1. We full send the first Shadow Ball, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. The opponent goes straight for a Surf, and we're going to see the final Protect Shield deployed. Switch timer has popped up. We farm up, look to make the catch onto Flygon. The catch attempt unsuccessful, but the opponent does dump their energy. Surf removes us from the field of play. Galalie going to overfarm, fire off the Shadow Ball. It's going to be high Jellicent, by Jellicent. Shadow Ball picks up that one hit KO. Back out comes Cresselia. We're going to outpace to the Avalanche, and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. And that is just about going to wrap things up for today's very fun shoutcast from Buthesfunnytho. A huge thank you to Buthesfunnytho for not only submitting the battles, but also putting the team graphics together. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing if you like your battles featured on my channel. A link to our battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.